how old were you when you got married?
I was 17.
17.
I was 17 on the day I was 17, and uh, 4 days before I was 18, my daughter was born. She was born.
Goodness.
She was born. My birthday's the 4th of July, and she was born on the 30th of June.
Very close. Yeah. Well, I just want to say that this is Mary Rarick and Jeffy Davis Marks, and we're interviewing Beulah Seamus today.
No, Beulah King.
Beulah King. I'm sorry. Yes. Well, I've got that wrong, don't I? This is Beulah King. And today is July 7th.
June.
June.
I'm way off here. June 7th, 2000. We'll get it right. And we're in Etna, California at Beulah's house. And we're going to ask her a few questions, and I'm going to let her give her name. Beulah, why don't you give us your full name, when and where you were born, and where you grew up?
Well, I was born Blossom Beulah Ferguson
Pretty name.
at Callahan,
Mm-hmm.
about a mile and a half up the South Fork of the East Fork of River,
Mm-hmm.
the Scott River,
Mm-hmm.
on a ranch.
Uh-huh. And what year was that, Beulah?
1904.
1904.
July the 4th,
July
1904.
4th. Uh-huh. And who were your parents?
Charles Chubb Ferguson and Clara Ferguson.
Mm-hmm. And where were they from?
Mother was from Indiana and my father was from Ohio.
Uh-huh. And did they come out in wagons?
No, they came out on our train.
On a train.
And they had my brother Forrest with them. And I think he was probably about 3 or 4 years old. I don't know for sure when they came out.
Uh-huh.
And they settled at a logging camp of Ikerna before the town of Wheat.
Uh-huh.
And they was there for about 2 years, and then my father moved over to Callahan and bought that ranch.
Uh-huh. What was the name of that town near Weed again?
Ikerna.
Igerna.
Uh-huh.
Now that's not there anymore, is it?
Oh no. I don't know if you ever remember the sawdust piles that was south
Yes.
of Wheat.
Yes.
That was Ikerna.
That was Igerna.
That was their sawdust.
Uh-huh. So it was kind of like a mill town.
Yes.
Yes.
And I have a picture of my dad over there, with a load of logs, and there's, I think, 16 horses pulling this load of logs, and my dad is sitting up on top.
What a great picture. We ought to get a
We'll-
copy
Yeah,
of that.
it's over
We'll have
there.
to get
Yeah.
a copy
We'll,
of that.
we'll get that at the end. We'll get
That's
a picture.
great.
Yeah.
So what did your dad do over here in Callahan when he?
He bought the ranch.
Oh, and so he
Uh-huh.
ranched.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And he cleared a lot of timber and stuff off, so and put it into pasture and alfalfa and what have you.
Now is that up near where the Haydens are today, Frank Haydens?
No,
No.
no. Yule Baker.
South
Yeah.
Fork. South Fork. maybe.
South Fork. Okay,
Uh-huh.
the other way.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I'm so glad that they've got the house painted white again. They had it red.
Yes, I know exactly where
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about, and that's where you grew up.
That's the house where I was born and Bud was born there.
Bud was born there.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So you lived there a good part of your life.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see, my dad, the reason that Bud was born there, my dad had had surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and we spent the winter there
Uh-huh.
doing the chores and that
Uh-huh.
for him.
Uh-huh.
And Bud was born on the 12th of December.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What memories do you have of living there in that house by the river?
Oh, a lot of them.
Uh-huh. You tell us about the fish. Were there a lot of
Oh.
fish that came up through there?
There was nothing but fish, the big ones.
Uh-huh.
The big, we called them dog salmon. I don't
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because if the dogs ate them, Boy, it killed them.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, they died.
Did you eat them?
Huh?
Did you
Oh,
eat them?
yes, we did.
Uh-huh.
But the steelhead, of course, was the best fish.
Uh-huh.
But we used to eat the what they call the dog, and I don't know exactly what they were, what
Mhm.
kind of fish they were. But gee, there was so many little streams coming through there then that aren't there anymore.
Really?
And guys, those little streams would just be just like that with fish.
Really?
And even the river, the big river,
Mm-hmm.
would be just full of fish.
Mm-hmm. Now, was that all year round that you would see fish, or during certain periods of the year?
Just certain times,
Mhm.
mostly in the fall.
Mostly in the fall. Uh-huh.
And then, of course, the little trout, why, they was there all the time.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I like to do.
Uh-huh.
But when I was missing, they'd say, well, I guess she's fishing.
So were you a good fisherwoman?
Oh.
Pretty good,
I
sounds
used
like.
to be. Oh,
Yeah.
I love to fish.
And those trout were sure good.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh,
I remember
okay.
some of those too from
Oh,
my
yes,
younger
yes,
days.
Yes, yes.
So how did you catch the dog salmon? And could you just go and pull them out of the river? Or were
Yes, you could just, and then you use spears a
And
lot.
use spears, uh-huh.
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 Yeah. And on the steelhead, you used to catch a lot of them, and then you would clean them,
Mhm.
and Mother had a big, I think it was about a 10-gallon crock,
Mm-hmm.
and put them down and put salt on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was judge, you could use them almost the year round.
All winter or all year round.
Yeah.
Kate
yeah.
Berthelsen told us about the same thing.
Uh-huh.
You know, and of course she lived down towards Greenview, but
yeah.
they would catch the fish down there, do the same thing, and they'd pull them up all winter and
Yes.
eat them.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I don't remember her saying all year round, but you sounds like you ate them through the spring too.
Yes, yeah. And let's see what else.
Well, tell me about these little streams that were coming into the main river. Where were they coming from?
Well, some of them came out of the river, out
Mhm.
of the main river,
Mhm.
and then other ones were the little streams that came through that dried up now, that
Mhm.
aren't there.
Coming from the hills up behind your
Yes,
house.
uh-huh.
And would those run all year round or just certain
No,
times?
all year round.
All year round.
And then there was one creek, now I don't know whether that's still running or not,
What was
but it
that place?
a creek.
A creek, uh-huh.
And like I said, I don't know whether that's still running or not. But we used to take, Dad took water out of it and had a ditch that came right down by the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have fish in it.
Really?
Big fish.
Now, would have both the dog salmon and the steelhead,
Uh-huh.
or
Just mostly steelhead.
mostly
Mhm,
steelhead?
mhm.
Uh-huh. And did you get your water supply out of that creek? too?
Yes, for
Yes.
many years. That's what was, you had it for drinking and cooking and washing your clothes.
Do you remember when that dried up?
No, I don't.
I have some questions, Mary, because
Sure.
I also lived at the Ferguson Ranch.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, would you
And-
like to
Turn that
sit and
in.
ask a few?
I'd like to just ask a few questions because there's some things that I know that are there now that I would like to know about before. Okay, just for a sec.
Sure.
There, pull this chair out.
Well, I'm
I
afraid
might
that'll block
My
the
back of my
camera,
head
otherwise
is
we
not
would-
as attractive as what you're saying.
I was just wondering, you're talking about the irrigation ditch. Did that come out of Boulder Creek?
Yes,
Is that the same? Okay.
yes. Now the irrigation ditch that we had to irrigate all of the pasture and the fields and that, it came way up Boulder Creek.
Uh-huh. And that's still there today?
Yeah. And Dad used to clean that every spring.
Was that ditch there when did your parents build that ditch? Or your dad
Now
built
this
it?
I don't know.
Huh.
I imagine, now, like I said, this I don't know. But I imagine that it was, some of it was probably there, but a lot of it my dad put in where it went all the way around the fields and around
the pasture.
on that hill back of
Mhm.
the house there.
Yeah, 'cause it goes all the way around that pasture, and if he
Yeah,
he
yeah.
cleared all that pasture, then he
Oh,
put
yes,
that in
yes,
around there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was a mining ditch to start with, and he extended it.
No,
That's
I
what I'm
don't
wondering.
think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Was there a ranch of any sort there when your father about the place.
Yes, yes.
There was.
It was, he bought it from, Messner. There was a Messner, it was a Messner bank.
mhm.
He bought it from-
Oh, good, okay.
And,
I remember you were telling me one time about the building of the house, how they made that archway in there, how they hung weights on the end of the board. Remember you came to our house, I'll always remember that, how they put the archway in the house, and it was your uncle and your dad.
they built on they called it a bay window.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And it was upstairs and downstairs. And they put this archway in, that was in the, well, really in the dining room. And they had a big, well, it was a book, you kept books in there, trash and everything in it. They had a big kind of box across, could raise it up.
That's funny, because I built a box back in there. There was no box when we bought the place, but I built a box back in there, and I used it for the children's toys.
Yeah, well,
Another
that's
toy
what
box.
you had
Yeah,
books
it's funny.
and store a little bit of
That's funny.
everything in there. Yeah.
And so, as far as steelhead are concerned, how did you catch steelhead?
Well, a lot of them we caught with our hands. There was
Did
many
you? The
of them.
steelhead, actually?
Yeah,
Wow.
but mostly with spears.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So the steelhead you caught with spears, too. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And when did you, you lived on the ranch from the time you were born till what year, more or less?
Well, let's see. I lived there until I was in high school. Of course, I had to come down here and go to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to go home twice a year.
Oh, wow.
I went home on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Wow.
Other than that, you had to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
You washed your clothes, did your own cooking.
Wow. So where did you stay in Etna?
Well, my first year was, do you know where well, the big old brick building kind of across from Ray's Market up here.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there.
The IOOF,
I stayed there.
or the old hotel, or the inn, or
The big brick double-story, which is
the one that Loy Adams used to live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So was that sort of a boarding house at the time?
Well, no, it was, let's see, it was called the Garrishes. There was the Garrishes that lived there then, and they had a sort of well, bedrooms and the dining room and the kitchen downstairs, and then there was a high school teacher. I can see her yet. A high school teacher. She had a bedroom and the kitchen and building downstairs. And then upstairs there was a girl from over in the Quartz Valley. She had a bedroom and a kitchen. And then there was myself and two Benson sisters, two Benson girls, and they was from up Kangaroo.
Oh, wow.
And the three of us stayed together. And like I said,
You took care of
we had
yourselves.
to take care of
I'm
ourselves.
surprised there were so many facilities,
Yeah,
or kitchen facilities.
And one bathroom.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure of that.
That must have been fun. Did you get up early to be first in line?
No, you always had a chamber.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Things have improved a little since then, right?
Huh?
Things have improved a little since
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Improvement.
And then the next, that was, I spent 2 years there, and then next year well, I don't know what the name of the house is now, but we rented it from the Isaacs. And there was a Margaret and Homer Snyder and I that stayed there. And that was up closer to the high school. That was when the high school was up on the hill.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
I was sorry they tore that down.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
beautiful building.
Oh,
Sorry
it
they
was.
tore that down.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate they did
Mhm.
that.
But like I said, we had to take care of ourselves.
Mhm.
And we didn't get into any trouble either.
You were a good student?
Not all that good.
No, but you didn't get into trouble, you say?
No, we never got into any trouble. I don't think any of the kids did then. They were
How many students were in your class at that time? Probably
Yeah,
just
no, I
a
don't
handful.
remember.
Did you go to school to my grandmother? Was she one of your teachers?
No.
May Denny? No.
No. And then, my last year, I was boarding with the Seamus, at the Seamuses. And that's when I got married.
Oh.
Ah.
Uh-huh.
But,
And where did you live after you got married? You say you went back and you had Bud back
well,
at the ranch, but
I
where
lived
were you
here
living?
in Etna. And I lived in Dunsmere.
Oh, wow.
And Mount Shasta.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh, I remember. Didn't you have a brick home over there off the old stage road there?
Yeah, that's the Edgewood.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty
Yeah.
house
Yes.
there. I remember you
Yes,
told
we
me
had,
about that.
we had 6 rentals there,
Mm-hmm.
besides the place where we did.
Wow. Wow.
But,
So what have you seen? Oh, I'll hand this back to Mary.
Okay.
We'll give this.
Okay.
Do you need a break, or are you doing?
oh,
okay?
no.
Okay. I'll give it back to Mary.
I wanted to ask, before we go on to that next question, the water levels in the river by your house there at Callahan, did they change a lot during, were there floods, were there kind of drought years anytime?
Not that much, not
Uh-huh.
that much.
Uh-huh.
And, I kind of get a kick out of blaming all of this gravel and all this going into the streams killing the fish.
Mm-hmm.
The Boudries had a mine up there,
Mm-hmm.
and they hydraulicked all that away. And in the daytime, you went out there and that river was just nothing but mud rolling down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, it would clear up. If you went out early in the morning before they started, the water would be clear and you could just see fish going everywhere. Didn't kill them.
Interesting. What year might that have been?
Oh, golly,
Beulah?
that was when I was a kid.
Uh-huh. How old would you have been then?
Oh, gosh, I could,
Like 10?
probably 10, 11, something
Yeah.
like that.
Uh-huh.
But, and that's what I wonder about, why they cry so much about this a little bit of mud or gravel that gets into the streams now.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there's not nearly as much water now as there was then.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot more water.
What do you think happened there?
I don't know. It's
Mhm.
just nature.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember heavier snows in the winter?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember walking the snow in 3 foot of snow at least. And that wasn't just one winter. That would be practically every winter. And up in the mountains here, I got kind of a kick out of it. They said it's normal and that, and I thought, they don't know what normal is.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
gosh, I can remember when you'd have drifts of snow up there at least 30 foot high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've got a picture somewhere of,
That'd be good if you could find it.
of the top of
Salmon?
Salmon Mountain here.
Mhm.
And here's this snowdrift up like this, and the car is sitting down here, and it looks like almost like a little bug sitting down there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Yes. And I imagine the snow lasted longer
Oh, yes.
through the winter than it does
Some of
today.
it would never go around, when it would be there from year to year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Up in the mountains,
In the,
above,
in the high
up-
mountains.
it wouldn't melt off.
No.
And I think today it all melts
Yeah,
off.
Yeah.
The year
Just
before last it didn't.
It didn't apply
But that, I thought that was very unusual. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, there were still patches
But
of snow.
you remember in your childhood that almost every year the snow would stay a little bit at least up in the
Oh,
mountains.
yes.
Uh-huh. Would that be through the whole range of mountains surrounding the valley or just certain ones?
Well, it all depended. It would be in the higher,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Boulder, East Boulder.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Did
Even
you-
in the salmon up here, could it last all year?
Well, now, I wouldn't know so much about that, but I
Yeah.
imagine.
But up towards Callahan it
Yes,
did.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Did you go to the mountains in the summer?
Just about lived there.
Where did you like to go?
Any place where there was fish.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What were your favorite streams to fish?
Really, none. None of them.
Any of them?
Because if the fish was there, I just liked all of them.
Mhm,
I wouldn't say
mhm.
any favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
I used to fish the South Fork River a lot
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the little stream that went by the house there. I used to fish those.
Mm-hmm.
And one time, I had caught 7 little trout like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I had them on a willow stick, a forked willow stick. And I lost my hook. So I thought, well, now, I'll just put these fish here. I put them back in the creek with a little rock to hold them there, and went back to the house to get me a hook. And when I got back down there to where my fish was, here was this big black water snake. And it was about like and I killed the snake and the fish popped out. But I wouldn't take them.
Were they still alive? Oh, they were dead, I guess, by then. Oh,
They're
my
probably
gosh. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, that's quite a story. But now, you did fish some of the mountain streams, too?
Oh,
Did you go up
yes.
to
Or lake,
Boulder?
or lakes?
Yes.
Yeah.
One time, my husband and I was going to, we was working in real estate,
Mm-hmm.
and we wanted to go back over into, it was Dale Meadows,
Mm-hmm.
and we was all ready to go, but then we had people coming in. So we didn't, this was on a Friday. So we, in the evening, we both got home about the same time, and Bill said, well, he said, you still want to go? And I said, I sure do. So we went out and saddled up the horses and put them in the trailer and trailed them up and rode the rest of the way in. We got in there about 8 o'clock, and Bill said, you go see if you catch fish while I set up camp. I was gone 20 minutes and came back with 22 fish.
Oh my gosh.
That's more than one a minute. That
said-
must be a record.
He sent the right person, I'll tell you.
Now, where's Dale Meadows?
It's up the Eddy Creek way.
I was gonna say
Eddy
the
Creek.
big-
Okay. So the fishing was good.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Well, pretty near any place that you went fishing was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I mean is, you know, well, there wasn't as many people fishing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And like I said, there's just too many. I can remember when the limit was 75,
Oh, good.
Ooh.
and then they cut it down to 50, and down to 25, and then 15 and 10 and 2. And it's not
Yeah.
worth going for now.
Would you go out if you could?
No,
No.
not if I just have to catch 2 fish.
Not worth it, huh?
No. What do you do with two trout?
It's not enough to feed you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. What differences do you see in the creeks and rivers today compared to when you were a girl?
Well, they're not nearly as big as they used to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not nearly as much water.
Mhm.
And why, I don't know. Unless maybe it's on account of the lower snowpacks and what have you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you see a difference in the other physical appearances of like the South Fork? If you go look at the South Fork now, does it look a lot different to you
Oh, yes.
as far as
yes.
vegetation
Oh,
is
it
concerned?
used to be a lot higher. And
Yeah.
the East Fork, too.
But the trees,
a lot more water.
the vegetation, is it a lot different?
Well, I haven't really noticed vegetation that much.
Well, I've noticed because when I came in and when I moved to your old place, it was in 1970, and it was really barren. There were hardly any trees because in '64 there had been a big flood. And when I go there and I look at it today, I think, wow, there's a lot of trees here that weren't there then.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering what it was like before '64. Were there a lot of trees? Do you remember a lot of trees along the South Fork? I know there was a lot of mining that was done
Well,
there. So.
I remember an awful lot of fruit trees.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My dad had a beautiful orchard.
Yeah.
And then-
some of that was there.
Out, the flood took it, but we used to have what we call the potato patch. He had planted potatoes, of course, and there was a little barn out there, and a blacksmith shop, and a water wheel.
Oh, wow.
And that's all gone.
So when was that flood that took all that? Do you remember when that was?
Well, I think that was, I don't know, I think that was the '64 flood.
Oh, that was the '64.
I think so.
Wow.
But it took an awful lot of land away.
Yeah.
Bud was there. There was, I think the people that had it then, their name was Johnson. And Bud happened to be there, and he wanted to go out and fall. There was a big pine tree, and he wanted to go out and fall that tree. He said that would divert the water, but no, they didn't want to do that. But anyway, yes, like I said, of course, he said he didn't know for sure whether that would have done it, but he, he
Well,
thought
it was-
would.
was
Worth
a
a
good
try.
idea.
Yeah, worth a
Yeah.
try, yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of like willows or plants along the river banks, was there a lot of, and were the holes deep? Were there some deep holes?
Yes, there were deep holes.
Mm-hmm. And they never dried out. You never saw.
Oh, no.
No.
And then above the ranch there, there used to be two houses
Mhm.
across the bridge and above the ranch. And now then it's just nothing but trees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think they're cottonwood.
Cottonwood trees.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember, I used to wander along along the South Fork and find channels where the Chinese had done the mining. You know, the Chinese had built some channels like alongside the South Fork. Did you ever see those? Did you ever walk along and find those? Rock, like the Chinese built, when they were mining there, they built these, it's hard to, it's like
Kind of little walls.
like
or
little
piles.
walls, little
Uh-huh.
walls of
Yeah,
rock.
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
remember
yeah.
finding those when you were fishing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I bet.
The Chinese was there long before anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, before you were born.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
A year or two anyway.
A year or two. Yeah, yeah. Did you swim in some of those holes in front of your house?
No, I never did learn to swim.
You didn't
I
learn to
never
swim.
learned to swim.
Did anyone else use those as swimming holes?
Oh, we used to go out and, wade in them and throw water at each other, but we didn't any of us swim.
Uh-huh.
And over here, where the high school is now, that was the Beulah place, and they used to have a pond there, and I was kind of learning how to swim. I had these water wings and things like that, and one of the girls, I didn't have them on, and one of the girls ducked me. That
Oh,
scared me. I thought,
that is
no.
mean.
Oh, that's
mean.
too
And
bad.
And then with the kids, there was Bud and Brenda and a little Ross Stetter. Well, I can't think of her. Anyway, there was 3 or 4 of them. They used to go down to the river back of the place where we lived there in Callahan, and And I had water wings for them. And, I used to go down with them every day and kind of watch them. And so, there was a lot of fruit, and I was busy canning fruit and that. And, I kind of got the notion that they didn't want me to go down anymore for some
Oh.
reason.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, this one day I didn't go down with them, and they went down, and then pretty soon I went down, and here they are. They had their water wings thrown out here, and here they are, and they're swimming around like little fish. and I sat and I watched them, and pretty soon one of them, and boy, they hit. And I said, if you can swim like that when I'm not here, you can swim like that when I'm here.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
But I never did learn to swim.
Do you remember when the fish started diminishing in numbers up your way there?
No, I really don't.
But there's a big change now. I mean,
Oh.
there's almost,
I don't
Almost
think there's
none.
probably any there probably now.
yeah. So somewhere that all happened.
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh. And of course, there were many years that you weren't there. When was the last year you spent time there that you, or
Oh,
how
gosh.
old were you?
Gosh, I wouldn't know. Of course, the folks lived there at the ranch for a long time after I was married. We used to go
Mhm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Maybe in the 30s or,
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
in that time.
but,
And were there still a lot of fish there when the last
well,
you
there
were
was
there?
fish there.
There were
yeah.
fish, but fewer.
Uh-huh.
But they had already started going down.
Yes, yes. And, deer. I used to like to deer hunt too.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Did you see changes in the deer populations over your lifetime there?
No, not really,
Mm-hmm.
not really that much.
Mhm.
I have a deer farm here.
That's what I've heard.
They come
There's a
come
lot.
through here.
I've seen the town deer. Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw some last night.
But you don't have your gun anymore to go hunting,
No, I
right?
don't have any guns anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't have any guns or any fish pole anymore.
Yeah. yeah. Well, you gotta wait for somebody else to bring you fish
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I was hunting, we went hunting, and we was on the Park Street side, camped over there, but we went over the hill on the Eddy Creek side to hunt. And, gosh, it was early in the morning, and it was still kind of dark, and there was a couple of guys come walking up through our camp, and so Bill says, well, hurry up, honey, get up. He says, let's get something to eat. You go over and get on your spot. So we
Sounds like my Bill.
Yeah, so we had something to eat. I rode the horses over the hill, and he said, go down and get on your spot while I tied up the horses. I just started down, and I looked up here, and here's 2 bucks up there. And it was just a little after 6 o'clock, and I says, is it too early to shoot? Somebody says, hell no, not if you can see horns. So boy, I lowered the boom and he went down like that.
Oh, boy.
Then I heard some shooting after that,
You got both of them?
so, no.
No.
You took one of
I
them.
got one.
Yeah.
So, a few days after that, I was uptown, up in Weed. Everybody on the street was stopping me and saying, I heard you shot Pete Belcatcher's buck. I heard you shot Pete. And this Pete Belcatcher, I don't know if you ever knew, but
I know the name
I know the
from
name,
Wayne.
yeah.
he was a champion heavyweight wrestler for years.
Oh, boy.
Anyway,
And
he,
this little woman
he,
just came
was,
and
he
shot
got,
his
when,
buck.
he got,
Uh-huh.
when he got back to town, he didn't get, he missed.
He
was the
missed
one that
his.
was shooting.
Uh-huh.
He didn't get his. And anyway, he told everybody, oh no, Bill King got mine.
That's a great story. That's a great
But
story.
I like the outdoors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to enjoy the wildflowers so much.
Oh, yeah,
Uh-huh.
they're gorgeous.
Do you think there's as many around as there used to be? Because I don't seem to see as many.
Well, of course, like I said, I don't get out where
No,
they are.
not so much
But then
now.
I don't think it's nearly like
Yeah.
they used to be.
Because I remember even from the early part of my life in the 40s and 50s seeing
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we was-
many.
I think up high they're still, up in the rocks and up high in the
In
mountains.
the
there's-
mountains,
There's still
are.
a lot. They're pretty much the
Talking
same.
about red bells, I haven't
Yes.
seen a red bell for I don't know how long.
We saw some a few weeks ago.
Oh,
But
They
you don't
bloomed pretty well this year.
Yeah,
We have
uh-huh,
a spot where I know I can find them.
And gosh, we used to go out and pick a big bunch of red bells and
Yeah.
take them home.
Yeah.
that hill across the ranch from the old home ranch, that was full of them.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to watch out for rattlesnakes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are the red bells worth it?
Yeah.
Of course, they come out pretty early, the red bells, so maybe
Yeah.
you won't get snake bit.
Now there used to be an awful lot of rattlesnakes around the old home ranch, or the house there even. Killed right on the back porch.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there were more in the earlier
Oh,
days
yeah,
maybe than
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Then there used to be a lot down in the old cellar. There used to be a lot of them get down in there.
Oh,
Mm.
and that root cellar?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
One time-
that's a really nice root
One
cellar.
time, my sister Selma and I, we were sitting down there on the old step there,
Mhm.
eating some homemade bread with cream and sugar on it.
Ooh, now that sounds good.
And Selma says, she said, there's a snake up there sticking its tongue out at us. And here was a rattlesnake up there that had started to crawl through. And I told Selma, I said, get out of here, that's a rattlesnake. And so I ran around and I got a hoe, and I was holding it there. And my dad was getting home he had been horseback over to town. And he came running with a shovel, but by the time the darn thing gave a wiggle and slipped right on through. And gosh, we moved everything out of that cellar. We had these big pans of milk and everything else that we moved out, and never found it.
Oh, wow.
And then he started digging out. There was kind of a hole that went under the step. He started digging that out, and a mouse came out.
Oh.
He was sure that snake was in there. So he'd been in there quite a while, and so I kind of got brave. I thought, well, I'll go down. And I went down, and to make sure, I was looking all around, and I said, here it is. And there was a crack in the cement and the rocks, and that snake was in that crack.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
So Dad got it out and finished it.
Yeah.
But we
Boy.
killed a lot of snakes in that cellar around.
Yeah, I used to catch rats in there. That's probably because all the snakes were gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So you kept quite a bit of food down there in the cellar.
Oh,
You're talking
yeah.
about
Oh.
cans of milk and.
We kept everything down there. We kept all of our milk,
Uh-huh.
and then you'd have a jar of a crock of cream where you skim the cream off to make butter,
Uh-huh.
and you had potatoes, and you had all of your vegetables in that down there.
Uh-huh.
Apples,
Uh-huh.
and so forth.
Uh-huh. What vegetables do you remember keeping down in the cellar?
Well, we had cabbage, and we had carrots, and we had lots of potatoes.
Uh-huh. Now, did you just keep them in like
Oh, just
crates?
bins.
bins?
Uh-huh,
Uh-huh.
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 And then, of course, Mom used to can an awful lot. We'd have all kinds of canned stuff.
Yeah, because in those days you couldn't just go into Callahan and buy a head of
No,
lettuce
that's
or
right.
anything
Still
probably.
can't.
Well, Well, in those, I think everybody almost kept themselves.
Yeah.
Because everybody had a garden and they had chickens and they had the milk cows and, you know, they had all they had to have was the staples like flour and sugar and
Right.
coffee and,
And you probably ate pretty well.
oh, we sure did.
Yeah.
We sure did. We had a lot of needs.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine come towards later spring, you didn't have too much before the new garden came in.
No, oh, we always had
Plenty.
some, and Mama, like I said, Mom always canned all
Uh-huh.
the things.
And you probably did all your baking in the wood stove.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, and hot water, you'd heat your water for washing your clothes on the wood stove too.
That must have been a fun day, wash day.
Oh.
Not your favorite day. Did you have to do the washing?
I helped,
Yeah.
always helped, yeah.
Did you make your own soap and everything?
No, we didn't do that. We
Uh-huh.
used to buy soap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I said as close to heaven as I'm ever gonna get. As that smell of Mom's homemade bread. I tell you, that smells so
It
good.
is so
And
Yeah.
she would have it just about right for when we kids would get home from school
Uh-huh.
with cinnamon rolls.
Ooh. Oh. Wish we had one of those right now.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Those good old
Yes.
homemade ones, oh my.
Jeez.
And I don't think, to me, I just think anybody made bread like Mom did.
Did she use a kind of a white flour, or did she use wheat flours?
Yes,
Or
white flour.
white flour? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, it smells good to me right now.
Yeah, well, you know, in those days, all you had to have was just the regular staples, you know, like sugar and
Mhm.
flour,
Mhm.
coffee,
Mhm.
regular baking powder.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you made you got a starve yeast and you kept it coming all the time.
Mhm.
You starter,
Yeah, like there was a piece in the paper not too long ago about Jeannie Dillman with her sour dough.
Yes, yes. And everybody's got her starter.
She gets her hair done just before I do mine.
Uh-huh.
So the other day I asked her, I said, hey, have you still got some sourdough? Yes, she says, I've got some. You want? I says, I thought you gave it all away.
So did you get some?
No.
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 Yeah. But you still do all your own cooking and everything?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
How do you think?
I think I'm real fortunate
Yeah.
to be as old as I am and do what I do.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
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 And there's many years left to come. I can see that.
I hope.
Well, give us a few more of your impressions of how, say, Scott Valley has changed over the years since you've been a little girl till today. What things come to mind when you think about changes
Yeah.
that you see?
Well, I used to know everybody in Scott Valley, but I don't know everybody anymore.
Yeah, there's a big one right there. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
What about the way it looks? Do you see changes when you?
Oh no, there's too many fancy houses now.
Mm-hmm.
Back up in the hills and all that.
How does the river look different to you? The main river down through the
Yes,
valley?
it's not nearly as big as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not nearly. And I'm sure that it's on account of the snowfall.
What about the placement of the river? Have you seen it change,
Yes,
take different
yes,
paths over
yes,
the years?
yes. And here's something that I kind of wonder about is the way the river is kind of spread out now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in one. Maybe if it was all together, it might be that much water. I don't know. But I noticed that up by Callahan, there's, you know, a little stream here and another stream there, and it's just, it's not really all together anymore, where it used to be.
So you remember the upper Scott River probably before all the mining piles, all the tailing piles were there, right? Do you remember what the upper Scott River right below Callahan looked like when you were a child, before they dug it all up with the big dredger?
You mean like above, up South Fork?
No, I mean below South Fork. I mean below Callahan,
Oh.
where all the dredging piles are now.
Yes,
Do you remember
yes,
what
yes,
that looked
yes,
like
yes,
before?
yes. I think that was a shame that they, of course, they did make money. What I mean is,
Right,
they
it was
made
the
money.
30s, yeah.
But what I wish they had done was a stockpile of the dirt, and then lowered these rocks off and put the dirt back again.
Right.
They
So what
didn't.
describe what the upper river looked like to you before they did that? Because I don't have a vision in my mind, because it was already there.
Well, it was just beautiful. It was in like fields of grass and hay and cattle and all of that.
In one channel,
Yeah,
pretty
uh-huh,
much.
mhm.
Were there a lot of trees along the river there in that section? In those years, cottonwoods, or do you remember?
I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
Like if you were driving along the road, would you see like different trees, vines, willows growing along the river, or could you just look right straight?
I just don't recall that.
Yeah.
I was glad that let's see, it was the Wolfords wouldn't sell out.
Yeah, that's where it stopped. Yeah, right. And I know there was good fishing in there, because I've heard
Oh,
that.
yes.
There were some good deep holes in there.
Yeah.
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 Now I can remember when the Scott River, where it comes by the school there.
In Callahan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh-huh. I can remember when that used to be so high, that was in the winter time, and that would freeze over
Wow.
with at least 3 foot of ice.
Oh, my
And the
goodness.
whole school would get out there and skate. We'd have more fun on that.
Wow. The river froze that solid.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And then they used to, where was that ice house? Somebody used to cut ice. And they had an ice house used to keep on. I can't remember exactly where that was.
Right in Callahan.
No, it wasn't right in Callahan.
But there was an ice house.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, were those slaughterhouses still in Callahan when you were a girl, or was it pretty much like it is what's there now?
It's pretty much like it is now.
So,
Uh-huh.
I know there used to be a lot of other buildings there in the earlier days. Yeah.
Well, and up where the Forest Service is, where the Forest Service building is, and there used to be an old Chinaman lived there, Chop Suey.
Chop Suey.
And we kids, we were all afraid of him, except Chinese New Year's, and then we'd all go there and he'd just give us all kinds of.
But the rest of the year you were going to be afraid of him.
And then there was a Charlie Chinaman cooked. He was the cook at the Farrington Hotel. Everybody liked him. And I can remember when there was 3 hotels and 4 saloons in Callahan.
And they were all there.
Yeah.
Now, where were those? Where was the 3rd hotel? I know there's the old Hayden Hotel.
Yeah.
There's the Farrington.
And where the Emporium is, that was the Baker Hotel. That was the Baker Hotel. And each one of them had a bar. And then across the street from where Furrington's is, that kind of little, there used to be a big building there, and there was a saloon. It wasn't bars, it was saloons.
Yeah.
Downstairs, and upstairs there was a dance hall,
Wow.
but it burned down.
That all burned.
And then, just as you're leaving there at Callahan there, where the lilac bushes and that, there was 3 houses out there, along
Wow.
there.
Wow.
So that would be going towards the Forest Service building, or
No,
going?
that would be
No, where the
towards-
lilacs are,
towards
but
Edmonton.
Oh.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Katie, where
yeah,
the Katie's
yeah.
property
Okay.
is.
Okay.
On up, just a little further from where she was talking about.
Mhm.
But,
Hmm.
like I said, a lot of water on the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of logging did you see in the early days around where you lived?
Well, I didn't see too much logging. What I mean is, but here was something else. If you wanted to go out and cut a tree on your property, you could go out and do that. You didn't have to have an inspector come and say you could do it either.
Like today?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But were there a lot of logging trucks that went by that road in front of your house when you were a girl, or did you see?
Not when I was living there.
That
no.
came later, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, that would be quite a bit later. Bud could tell you more about that on account he did
That's
fall
true.
timber.
Mhm.
See, he
He's
felled
almost an old timer himself
Yeah,
now.
yes,
I was hoping he would come.
Oh, that's right. We were hoping he'd be here today. But we'll try to get him another
Catch up with
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He, he's doing pretty good.
Mhm.
He's had kind of a hard time.
Yeah, health wise. Yeah.
He wears that paper bag. and-
Mhm. But he's got your genes, Beulah, which is a good thing. He's got a good chance to live as long as you.
Well, and he helps everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
Like I said, that he takes care of 5 of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Barbara and me and Geraldine and Beulah and himself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But,
Well, I know you're very proud of him.
oh yes,
Yes.
I sure am.
Yes.
He's a very fine man.
Uh-huh.
And there's something else that I'm extra proud of him. He never smoked
Ah.
until he went into the service, and then he got to smoking. And this is when there was falling timber. He said he didn't know why, but one day when there was falling timber, he took this cigarette out and put it back in the pack again, threw it down over the hill in the brush. And he told the guys, he says, I'm going to quit smoking. And they laughed at him. They said, oh, you'll be down crawling around the brush before the day. And he has never smoked since then. And after Carolyn had passed away, I stayed with him there at Callahan, with he and the girls. And
I remember
Buddy Brown. He used to come up and he'd bring this bottle of brandy. And they wouldn't get drunk, but they would sit there and drink and drink and drink before dinner.
Mhm.
So one evening, Bud says, I'm going to quit drinking. And he hadn't touched a drop. And he didn't have Alcoholics Anonymous either.
I think he could tell us a lot of stuff. Sounds like to
just
me.
willpower. He just took willpower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for him.
Well, I bet you have a lot of that yourself.
Yeah. Well, I give all the credit to my folks
Uh-huh.
because they lived to a ripe old age for that time.
Mhm.
But then I can remember that Dad always had a little shot of whiskey before he went to bed, and Mama had a little glass of port wine. And an old doctor up in Ashland made an alcoholic out of me. My husband Bill, he had, progressive muscular dystrophy. Anyway, he was going to this doctor, and this doctor told him, he said that, now I don't want you to become an alcoholic, but he says, I want you to have a highball or two before you eat dinner in the evening. He says it will relax you and you'll sleep better. And Bill wouldn't have one by himself. And I had to sit down and have, and I still have my highball before I eat my dinner. So I said, he made an alcoholic of me.
Well, it seems to have helped your health in some ways, maybe. It hasn't hurt. Did that help your husband? Do you think that helped him?
Well, he seemed to sleep better, but of course I don't know whether, well, it didn't help the
Yeah, the condition overall.
it was
Yeah.
just
Have to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
progressive.
But you enjoy your highballs today.
Yes, I just sit down and have a highball before I eat.
Uh-huh.
It's good for
Well,
digestion.
good. Now, why do you think you've lived so long, Beulah?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I think it was a lot of it was in my genes on account of my dad and my mother.
Uh-huh.
Dad lived to be 86,
That was,
and mother was 89. So you see,
Excellent.
at that time,
Yes.
that was a good old age.
it was. It was.
And then look at my sister.
100 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah,
You're gonna
yeah.
go visit her next month. Yeah.
And she's still driving. Did you know that?
I think you may have mentioned
Yeah.
that.
I
Isn't
think
that
that's
amazing?
amazing.
Yeah.
Still driving.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. And this was kind of a funny thing. She, this was last fall sometime. She plays lots of bridge,
Uh-huh.
and she was going to a bridge party or something, and she pulled up and there was a red light, and she stopped, and she looked all around, and there wasn't a car in sight, so she went on too. She got picked up. He wrote her out this ticket and handed it to her, and she looked at it a minute, and she says, you know, I'm 99 years old. And she said, this is the first loaded ticket I've ever got in my lifetime. And he reached over and he patted her on the shoulder, and he said, you know, if I lived to be that old and have that good a record, I would think I was pretty darn good. And he was showing tore it up. I guess he could see that there was no
Yeah.
cars in sight, you
Yeah,
know.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for him.
Oh, that's great.
Well, then, like I said, her birthday's the 2nd of July, mine's the 4th. And when she was 96, why, I called her on her birthday, and we yacked for a long time, hour or so. And then on my birthday, she called me, and I thought, oh, God, I thought we talked everything over the other day. I could tell she was high about something. But anyway, pretty soon she says, guess what? I just got my driver's license for another 4 years. I'll be driving around 100 years old. And she's doing it.
Oh, gosh.
Amazing.
And I can't drive anymore.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I couldn't on account of my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just had cataract surgery too,
Uh-huh.
but I passed my test. I only missed one on that, but there's things way out there. I couldn't see them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I said it's like cutting off a leg.
Yeah, it is. It makes it tough.
Yeah.
Makes it
So
real
how
tough.
how old did you drive until,
Oh, it's been about 4 years.
4
so-
years, but you were over 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing, Beulah.
But
Yeah.
like I said, it's but Bud's awful good.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
takes you around.
Yeah.
He takes us riding around up in the mountains every once in a while.
Oh, good. And how are you getting down to San Diego? Are you just?
I have my sister
Yeah.
and her daughter. They live at Talent, and they're coming by and pick me up, and then we'll.
Another sister?
Huh?
She has a younger sister?
Oh, you have your younger
Yeah, my
sister.
younger,
And-
Thelma.
And how old is Thelma?
She's 88.
88,
She's
yes.
she's a spring chicken.
Yeah, my mother's gonna be 88 this year too, so.
And, they're coming by and pick me up, and then
Oh,
we'll
good.
go to Reading, and, there's another, she has another daughter down there,
Uh-huh.
and the 4 of us will go
Oh,
down.
how fun.
Mhm.
That'll be fun.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
I don't know just how long or just exactly when. Thelma and Joanne was here yesterday, and, we haven't got it figured out yet till we hear from Marcel.
Uh-huh.
Marcel is in Phoenix, Arizona right now.
Oh.
How long has it been since you've seen your sister?
Oh gosh, I don't know, it's been several years. We used to always have, a family reunion,
Uh-huh.
and, we usually always had it around this area somewhere. But, we're gonna have it down there now.
Uh-huh.
Of course, since you don't know anybody here anymore, has nobody,
Yeah.
and down there, she lives in the senior complex,
Uh-huh.
and, so they'll have a big reception for her.
Uh-huh.
Let's see, I think it was 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago anyway, we went down, and it was, she and her husband had their 70th wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So he's still alive too?
No,
Not
he
now.
passed away just shortly after that.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Wow, 70th. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
He,
That doesn't happen real often.
No.
he was there
Unusual.
in a wheelchair, and, he would smile and, nod his head and that, but he wouldn't say very much. He was just,
Uh-huh.
and,
He was coming
yeah.
to the end of his time, yeah. Well, that's very special. You have a very special family.
You do.
Oh,
Yes.
I think so too.
Yes, yes.
And I really do think so. I've got, like my brother and my sister Thelma. I call her my miracle sister. And my brother, that was in the World War I, and he was out on guard duty, and he passed out. And they picked him up, and they took him, he went to Walter Reed Hospital back in Washington, D.C., and he had back surgery. He had 3, it was the second back surgery in the United States.
Oh, wow.
They took 3 vertebrae out of his back, and they grafted a piece of his shin bone in his back. And he laid flat on his back in a cast for over 2 years.
Oh my.
I've got pictures of him flat on his back in bed, and he would read. I've got an old sweater in there. He would knit,
Wow.
But then he got up, he got over that, and got married and had a son.
Wow.
So that, like I said, that's a miracle right there.
Yes.
And
yes.
then with Thelma, she was a twin, supposed to be a twin.
Mhm.
She, I was 7 years old at the time. And I heard this whack, whack, whack. And my brother and my sister and I, we all slept in the same room. My brother had a bed, and then we had a double bed over here. I heard that noise. I reached over, and Verna wasn't in bed. I went over, and Forrest wasn't in bed. I went out in the other bedroom, and Mom and Dad, they wasn't in bed. But all this noise downstairs, I wanted to go down, but they wouldn't let me go down. And anyway, Thelma weighed 2.5 pounds when she was born. Old Dr. Bathurst up here said it was a double conception, that she was conceived at least 2.5 to 3 months after the little boy was. And the little boy weighed over 6 pounds, and he was ready to be born and
Uh-huh.
forced her before. But then he got lodged in there. They had to take him. He was dead.
But Thelma lived.
And Thelma, they kept her, and they kept her with oil. They wrote oil on her, and wrote her in cotton, and kept her in a cigar box
Oh my
right by
gosh.
the side of a heater stove, and they kept that stove going all the time. And that's why I say she's a miracle.
She's definitely
my
a miracle.
gosh.
No, no incubator or nothing, and she made it.
Isn't that
And
amazing?
they fed her with an eyedropper.
Uh-huh. Oh my.
Yeah.
And she's still alive today. That's just,
That is
it's just
amazing.
amazing.
Yes, yeah. And, she used to kind of have 6 fellows.
Mhm.
She's over that now.
Mhm.
And she gets around pretty good.
Mhm.
She walked with a cane for a little while, but she's over it now.
Mhm.
See?
That is just
Yeah.
amazing. Well, we thank you a lot, Beulah, for sharing with us
For all
your
of the lies,
stories.
for all the
Well, they were good, whatever they were. But it was
No,
really fun.
they're
and-
truthful.
Yes, yes, I know, and we appreciate your doing an interview with us and sharing your life.
Now, what is this was we for?
Well, we've interviewed, I guess, 10 or 12 people, haven't
At
we?
least.
And, at least 10 or 12, maybe 15 people in
Oh.
the valley.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you would know all of them, and just trying to keep some of the information
Uh-huh.
that you folks have that were
Uh-huh.
born before we were, and we keep them up there in the RCD office, the
Mhm.
Resource Conservation District, and we're using some of the material to create videos that might give an indication of what the valley was like in the earlier days. And we've done one, I guess, on Oral Lewis. And, we have meetings every month for this Watershed Council.
Uh-huh.
And we show little bits of them from time to time and let the others see, what we get to see the whole interview. But so it's just to kind of record the information
Uh-huh.
that you have.
Yeah, but interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and-
It's very interesting, and it's information that it would be really sad to lose,
Yeah.
you know?
And we'll give
and-
you a
and-
copy.
And we'll get a
Oh,
copy.
You'll
for you.
get a copy so you can look at yourself and you
Oh.
show it to your family and they can
Uh-huh.
I
hear.
won't want to look at that.
Oh, yes, you will. Yes, you will. You probably see my ponytail. I don't know if I'm in the picture or not.
You'll be about this
A
close.
little half of my front of my face here, I guess. And,
I've gone back and forth. You're more of you in there now.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we sure appreciate it,
You know,
Beulah.
I'm just in good shape, except I lost teeth.
Uh-huh,
Broke off. They broke off.
uh-huh.
And I didn't know why. And finally, I got to reading. I had got the medication at Walmart, and
Uh-huh.
I got to read, and it said perhaps the teeth would break off. And I know that that's what it was because the last time I was with Dr. Perlman,
Mhm.
and he never, when he ever gave me my physical before, he never
Mhm.
asked me this.
Mhm.
But this time he says, open your mouth.
Mhm.
And he says, you can still eat, can't you? I said, I sure can. But I lost this one.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, 5 of them. I had 2 crowns that broke off even.
My goodness.
Yeah. But like I told him, I can still eat.
Well, that's important.
Yeah.
And I hope you get a few trout every now and again
Oh.
from somebody.
Usually for my birthday,
Uh-huh,
we usually go to Carter Meadows or Cabin Meadows or someplace,
uh-huh.
and the kids they catch, and they always give me some trout for my birthday.
Oh, good, oh, good.
Great.
Well,
This is the tree behind Beulah's house. It's a huge oak tree that I think that should be recorded as much as we can get from where we are, which is not a very good spot. Up on her deck of her house. We're in Atna on Main Street. But the size of this tree is absolutely incredible. Massive. You probably don't get too much of a a good idea of how massive it is from this video, but it is probably, oh, I don't know how many feet around the thing. It must
You
be.
may want to get a view from down here too, Jackie. This is just amazing. I was telling her she should get a view from down here. One, two, three. Oh.
Here you can get a little better view of this tree. The size of it. It's probably a 6-foot diameter base. Circumference I wouldn't be able to guess. But it's absolutely huge and beautiful. We're at Beulah's house, like I said, on Main Street in Etna. It's out behind, down toward Etna Creek. This is the picture that Beulah was talking about.
Yeah, that's the.
And I said, yes. So
Of the 16 horses and logging over and
Painted from
Near-
the card.
weed.